Good evening once again and a very warm welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Gloria Mutesi. Starting us off tonight, Rwanda's central bank has announced that despite the economic repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic, the country's economy actually grew in the later part of 2020 compared to the first 6 months of that year. Stationery has this story.
Figures from the central bank indicate that the first 9 months of 2020 saw the economy shrink by as much as 4.1%. compared to 2019 when it grew by 8.3% over the same period. It is no surprise that this is because of the economic repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic. What is surprising, however, is the robust rebound the economy saw in the latter part of the same year, growing by an eye-opening 9.4% after shrinking by 2.1% in the first 6 months of that year of 2020. As for the Rwandan franc, it lost 5.4% of its value against the US dollar last year compared to 4.9% in 2019. This, however, did not affect the financial sector, with the assets of commercial banks hitting 4.31 trillion Rwandan francs by December 2020. That's 53% of the entire country's gross domestic product or GDP. With microfinance institutions registering assets worth 556 billion Rwandan francs by the end of 2020, up 14.7% compared to 2019.
Now, after 3 weeks of online learning in person, classes have resumed in the city of Kigali. Students were happy with the resumption of classes. The Minister of Education, Dr. Uwamariya Valentin, says the overall resumption of in-person schooling in Kigali has been successful. Umngari Jade now tells us.
The Minister of Education, Dr. Valentine Uwamariya, says the school term may be revised to make up for lost time. The children were eager to learn as they had spent a lot of time without being in an educational setting. We thought it best to commence learning with the principal subjects. With children staying in the city of Kigali, we are thinking of adding extra hours by including Saturday. The weeks in the school term will reduce, but the hours will be longer. We will work hand in hand with schools to ensure that children are learning the essential lessons. Ministry of Education, along with teachers, have worked together to prepare for the return of students. New buildings have been constructed and new teachers have been hired. With all of these improvements, teachers request parents to work with them to ensure a smooth transition back into learning. We shouldn't let the children get lost. Parents can help children adjust and teach the same way they help with the radio and television.
There are no problems with teachers. Some teachers had resigned, but we were able to find their replacements. Teachers that need space to teach children are happy with the new building. All of the improvements are helping children as well.
Parents were seen taking their children in for their first year of primary school. On the concerns of children that have not graduated from kindergarten, but are to start primary 1 this year, this is what Minister of Education has to say. There were children that were to start their first year of primary school, and it has been allowed that they continue. There will be a discussion between the concerned parties whether this will be followed through. On the other hand, institutions with a large number of students and other newcomers from nursery schools have addressed this issue. Habanabashaka Jean-Baptiste from GS Kagugu says they have welcomed at least 1,000 students to their first grade of primary.
A child of 6 years or older should be able to enter their first year of primary, regardless of whether they finished kindergarten or not. We have planned and organized classes to accommodate children at all their levels and make sure they acquire the proper knowledge. When this is done, children can be moved to different classrooms.
The reopening of classes in Kigali began on Monday with students from the first grade of primary and nursery who had been at home for a year due to the COVID-19 epidemic. Umngari Jade, RTV News.
Thanks very much, Umngari Jade, for that report. In health matters now, medical experts have called on women to ensure that before they are pregnant, their bodies are ready and are full of nutrients, especially folic acid, which helps the unborn baby from contracting spinal cord problems known as spina bifida. Spina bifida is a birth defect that occurs when the spine and the spinal cord don't form properly. Fiona Mbabazi has more.
Mutoni Neema from Javana sector in Gasabo district has a 9-year-old child suffering from spina bifida, a congenital malformation of the spine. The pregnancy came to term and I went to hospital. The delivery went well and afterwards I was told that the child has spina bifida, a malformation of the spine. Other mothers whose children have the malformation of the spine say the big problem their children face is the lack of control on their urinary tract. They have no control of their urinary tract, or when they want to go for a long call, all this comes flowing at any time. So when even he went to school, they would call me. Eventually, I withdrew them from school. If I had the means, I would put them in a special school. Dr. Lawrence Naunga, head of the organization working with children with spina bifida and hydrocephalus, says the organizations should be supported.
A family with a child who suffers from this problem no longer has time for itself because the members are concerned about the condition of the child and often seek treatment. They have problems finding prosthetic parts and the necessities to take care of these children because it can be expensive. This also means that the parents cannot do anything else because the child is followed up on 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Health experts say that 80% of the children that are born with the defect of the spine because there has been deficiency of folic acid even before conception. Dr. Muneza Sevriana, neurosurgeon at the University Hospital of Kigali, Sehashka, indicates that spina bifida is a severe problem of the spine.
The spine is not closed, yet when a child is born it should be. It can also affect the head. When you look at such a child, you may find that some internal organs are actually visible. You may see something that looks like a little pocket, or parts of the skin that may have hair on them, or an orifice.
Dr. Muneza indicates that a child born with this problem, even if it is treated, there is a squeal especially in the cervical nerves. Protecting yourself against this problem begins before conceptions, urging all mothers to look into this.
When it is the lower part that is concerned, there is the problem with the legs. The feet are deformed, and then the anal and urinary tracts do not work because the nerves that stimulate them are damaged. Mothers must make a habit of taking folic acid and other vitamins before conception.
Medical experts say that spina bifida is a common problem in 9 out of 1,000 babies born worldwide. Sehashka doctors say that they can accommodate 3 children with the condition in a week. Currently, spina bifida patients are being monitored at only 4 clinics. These include the military hospital Kanombe, Sehashka, King Faisal, and a center in Gikongo in Southern Province.
Now, with the goal of Smart Africa to have a common market share through the use of technology in buying and selling, many are happy that Rwanda is one of the 31 member states making impressive progress in this regard, which is a significant step towards development through services that are often characterized by technology. Gabi Muvunyi has more.
In an effort to make it easier for car owners to protect themselves when involved in accidents, a group of people came together to launch a way to connect car owners and other law enforcement agencies in the event of an accident, so that they are connected to insurance companies and a garage that may help them. Honorino Wase is among the technicians that has started this process. Emab Kimenyi also launched a program called Ishiga, which advocates for many different services. We have a platform where we have a web application where you go on and declare, and then the police can come and see the issue that you have. Another problem we're able to solve is that car owners can log into the app and search for a garage they can visit, where they can be linked to an expert that can help them extensively.
Things were now made easy in paying for transport using these tap-and-go cards. During the conductor's time, it used to cause a lot of confusion and overcrowding. Now there is a sense of order. More than 50 companies have already emerged in the context in linking traders and buyers in Rwanda, which has changed the familiarity of the buyer's approach and even increased the level of payments using this technology.
In terms of transportation services, passengers are happy with the use of the tap-and-go cards that have eased the mode of transport around the city. R-Switch, a company that enables electronic payments, says they plan to merge these cards in the next 6 months so as to reduce the cost that customers are required to pay when withdrawing money from one card of a different company to another. CEO of the company, Matteo Rieka, says the cost will be reduced by at least 80%. Smart Africa CEO Lasina Kone told RBA that most of the countries, such as landlocked countries, would save up to 50% of their supply to markets with the use of technology.
If you're able to sit today in your living room on the couch and you can pay your electric meter, you can pay your water meter, you can access the e-Rembo site, for example, you pay the government services. Think back 10, 15 years ago. Were you able to do that? If the answer is no, then it means you are becoming smart. We at Smart Africa so far, we have coached more than 300 decision makers from 21 countries since the last quarter of 2020 in different emerging technology, because the decision maker, you need to bring awareness at the decision making level first. In order to accelerate the birth and the development of digital society, in addition to as well smart city. That Rwanda has delivered a flagship project, and we are now in the middle of the pilot in Rwanda here.
The World Bank says the plan on setting up this market will be significant for East African countries, as the GDP of the countries will rise as well as open the job markets. Gabi Muvunyi for RTV.
Now, still on the same note, the Smart Africa Alliance was created in 2013 to put digital transformation at the core of the continent's economic development, gathering the private sector and member states on concrete initiatives. In an exclusive interview with RBA, Lasina Kone, the Director General of the Smart Africa Secretariat, speaks about the 8-year journey of turning Africa into a digital continent. Take a look.
The Smart Alliance initiative started in 2013. Looking at where we've come so far, we're in 2022, actually,
yes.
Close to 10 years now.
Absolutely.
How would you describe the journey in a few words?
Very fascinating, very challenging, very inspiring, for a simple reason that we do really feel our leaders, they want to shift the paradigm. They do want to change the paradigm to be able to be ready for the fourth industrial revolution. Because none of this could have been done in about 7, 8 years now. It's been created. Yeah. The speed Smart Africa has been growing is a phenomenon. The partnership we've been able to build with the private sector. As you know, private sector, first, it's a part of our manifesto. It's been really phenomenal. It's been quite interesting, and I think yet we still have a lot of work to do.
If you understand the Kinyarwanda word, a normal citizen out there, if they wanted to know Smart Africa, intangible things, what would they look up to? Especially, let's start with Kigali, for instance. What is Smart Africa in as far as Kigali is concerned?
Smart Africa, it means basically to simplify things, to do things differently, intelligently, which may include optimization of certain processes. Very simple example for a normal citizen in Kigali. If you're able to sit today in your living room on the couch and you can pay your electric meter, you can pay your water meter, you can access the e-Rembo site, for example, you pay the government services. Think back 10, 15 years ago. Were you able to do that? If the answer is no, then it means you are becoming smart.
Interesting. Now, let's talk about the journey of the 31 members of the Smart Africa Alliance, if they have not increased so far. Who is moving fast? Who is moving slow? Why?
This is actually a very interesting question, because the digital transformation, which is the digital economy, it has, among others, 5 main pillars, namely digital governance. Second is a digital business. Third is infrastructure. Fourth is innovation-based entrepreneurship. Number 5 is the digital skills. So when you look at those pillars, countries really compete against each other on a different pillar. For example, for the COVID, what happened now, the pandemic, has showed us which are the African countries who are really ready in terms of government services. Rwanda, of course, come among the top because you can still have access to a lot of government services using just your mobile money and paying with just your mobile money account as well. If you look at the other country, many countries are still striving, they're still working hard to have those basic government services online. This is an example of digital government. The digital business, for example, it's the way to see how the business services, B2C, business services to customer, or B2B, business services to business, have been able to be established in a country. But you have to remember, when the government has many services which are developed for citizens and also for business, it makes it easy for the businesses to interact with the government because the government only accepts interaction through digital. Yeah. So countries, you can see countries are very different. It varies from Rwanda to Kenya to South Africa to even Ghana, which is coming also on the top. And also we have a very fast-speed, fast-track country coming, which is also Benin, which is embracing a lot of digital services compared to the past 3-4 years. So countries really differ. It depends on which country, it depends on also the pillar, because we're talking about 5 different pillars. Take, for example, the innovation-based entrepreneurship. Then you have a tendency to see the North African country are a lot more advanced in the Startup Act innovation system because of their proximity to Europe and so on and so forth. Then when you look at the digital skills, you will see the fintechs in Nigeria, fintechs in South Africa, and so on and so forth, including also even Kigali here, where we see a lot of capacity building happening at the young entrepreneurial level.
If you met the heads of state of the 31 member states right now, what would you ask them in one statement?
What would I ask them?
Based on the experience of COVID-19 and how far we've gone from 2013, what would you tell them?
The COVID-19 pandemic, it certainly was a tragedy, but it is an opportunity for African countries to leapfrog the rest of the continent. Because that's what we've been advocating. Digital transformation should not be a luxury. It is an essential service, just like the water, just like electricity.
Mr. Lassine Kone, Director General of the Smart Africa Secretariat, many thanks for finding time to speak to RwandaTV.
Thank you for having me.
Now, in other news, the International Finance Corporation has published a book in Kinyarwanda on the proper management of both big and small companies as a way of helping such establishments last longer in the country. The objective is to reduce the number of companies in Rwanda that go bankrupt before their 5th anniversary. Fiona Mbabazi has more.
The book has been published as a result of the collaboration between the IFC and the Rwanda Stock Exchange with the goal of ensuring that local companies survive past the 3 to 5 year mark many tend to fail at.
Cyagaragaye nuko abantu benshi ama business menshi ama societe agiye cyane cyane amato naciriritse.
We have seen that many businesses, especially the SMEs, have issues to do with management. But the investment clinics help address this so that they do not fail due to management.
The head of the International Finance Corporation in the country says that the book will help address the issues of trust between banks and MSMEs. We are seeing issues and it's cross-cutting. There was a research, and this book will help address all these issues. This book is a benchmark for all banks and an eye-opener for the businesses. The Rwanda Financial and Stock Exchange has 10 companies with shares in the stock market. With the knowledge contained in this book on corporate governance and the market's management advisory and management program is expected to help the increase of numbers of companies that can be admitted to the market to seek long-term investment capital.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for your company. A gentle reminder to please wear your face mask and do all that is required of you to stop the spread of the pandemic, because no one is safe until we all are. Otherwise, God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I'm Gloria Mutesi.